Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder of SportsNola.com. The Saints are finally done with this exhibition season. Jim Finks hated that word. Preseason, whatever you want to call it. Bottom line is this treachery is over with. And you talk about cruel and unusual punishment. Anybody that had to sit through the 32-9 victory by Tennessee over the Saints certainly deserves a gold star. Not a Purple Heart, but a gold star. Bottom line is it was preseason football at its worst, but what else do you expect from the fourth preseason game?
It's a classic case of why there don't need to be as many as 4 preseason games, because you saw next to no starters last night. Basically on offense, the only starter who played was Carl Nixon. He might have played 2 series. A little bit more on defense, but the good news is it's over. No injuries out of last night's game. And with a Thursday night opener, it's right into game week. No time to rest.
Okay, trying to find out if there were any changes as a result of last night. I really don't think so. Joyke Bell, I think, was going to make this team regardless, and he certainly helped himself in that regard. Adrian Arrington, I don't know how you justify a spot. I know they like him as a receiver, but do you like him enough to place him as a 6th receiver or displace someone else on the roster? I don't know that that's the case. Outside linebacker, listen, we're all waiting to see what happens there. Not really sure when you look at what's going to transpire. And, of course, the other question, Lenny, would be, are they going to bring anybody else in now following this final cut, such as another outside linebacker, such as a safety, such as a tackle? What do you think?
Defensive end's a question, too, in terms of who's going to end up being the starter there. I'm not sure we necessarily got an answer last night, although perhaps the best individual performance of all last night was Junior Galette. He was disruptive out there last night. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. It was mostly backups against backups out there, but still, he was a disruptive force. We saw that at the end of last preseason as well. So let's see how that translates, if that means that Galette might end up being a guy who gets a lot more playing time this year at defensive end.
Speed rusher, and, along the lines of you see him as, and certainly not a valid comparison in terms of productivity, but style, to a Dwight Freeney, somebody that's a little bit undersized but fast off the corner and can be a specialist to rush the passer in third down situations. The other major concern from last night, John Casey. Listen, the guy kicked well last year for Carolina, but he missed an extra point. He missed a field goal. I know it's a new surrounding. I know it's a new holder. But, Lenny, it certainly appears Garrett Hartley's going to miss some significant time. We don't know how much. But with that being the case, you have to be concerned about what you saw last night from Casey.
Well, I would not be surprised if there are kickers trying out on Airline Drive today, and a decision gets made at some point here in the next day or so as to who is going to kick against the Packers. Obviously, they brought in Casey. They felt comfortable with him, and you have to be concerned after that performance last night. Let's see what happens here in the next couple of days.
Okay, it matters now. Thursday next week at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers, and clearly that's what the Saints have been pointing to and getting ready for. And obviously they had good off-season workouts, and of course they've had injuries, but they'll have their primary guys, and I stress primary, ready to go in this game, and they're going to need them all. The Packers will unveil the banner like we saw with the Saints last year against the Vikings. It will be emotional. They're good enough. They don't need any motivation, but they'll be motivated, no question.
Oh, no question about it. It's tough to go win on the road in this league, especially when you're playing the defending Super Bowl champions. But the one thing that the Saints have as an advantage is they went through this routine last year. Sean Payton is a big believer in routine. He went through this Thursday last preseason game into a Thursday opener. They'll follow, other than the fact that they have to travel on Wednesday, they will follow exactly the same schedule, I would presume, as they did a year ago.
And if you're looking for that good karma, that good feeling after a rough night, under Sean Payton, when the Saints have lost their final preseason game, they've never lost a season opener. For SportsNola.com, I'm Ken Trahan for Lenny Vangilder. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.